This is a HeadGum podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Complete Guide to Everything, a podcast about everything. I'm one of your hosts, Tom.
And I'm Tim.
How are you doing this week, Tim?
Tom, I'm getting geared up for the holidays.
Me too. They're coming up very shortly.
I love Christmas time in the city.
Have you done any shopping for Christmas whatsoever?
Yeah.
Oh.
I've bought presents. I've bought gifts already for a few people, you included.
Oh.
So that's my way of telling
and
you I expect a gift from you
You're
as well.
running out of money. You got to wait for the next paycheck to get more gifts because you really went overboard on mine.
If I got you, if I spent let's say like $3,000 on you,
Yeah.
would you? That wouldn't make you
No,
feel
that would
good.
make me
That
feel
would-
profoundly uncomfortable.
That would be a bad situation. You'd
Yeah.
be like, all right, man.
I'd be like, no, I'm not going to take
Yeah,
this.
what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think this is?
Look, you're trying to give me some nice gift because you want me to be in on something later this year that I don't want to be in on, and then you're gonna be like, I gave you that MacBook Pro, Tom. Don't forget that.
Wouldn't
As
buy you
I'm
a
lifting the
MacBook
body out of
Pro.
a truck.
I wouldn't dare give you a computer because
Yeah.
you'd probably be like, I know what I want, and it's not this.
Yeah, you configured it wrong.
Yeah. I would get you.
A $3,000 gift. What would you get me? I don't even know things that cost $3,000.
A car? Does a car cost $3,000?
Yeah, like a bad used
Yeah,
car.
I'd get you like a real shitty car.
I'd be like, oh, Tim, I have one car and I have trouble moving it on
And
the
it's
street.
better than this car.
Yeah.
You got me a bad car.
Yeah, so now I
Albatross.
have like an okay car and a bad car.
Yeah, the bad car is going to cost a lot to insure, too.
Yeah, like this really isn't useful to me. Thank you, though.
Yeah, what does cost a few $1,000? Art? What if I got you some nice art?
Yeah, give me some nice art, maybe a collectible of some sort,
Mm.
some like a expensive baseball card or comic book, something like that.
Yeah. Ooh, the only baseball card that would be kind of pricey
Mm-hmm.
that I'd ever get you as a gift would be the Billy Ripken card where the bottom of his bat somebody wrote fuckface.
How much does that go for you?
I don't know. Do you remember that baseball
Yeah,
card?
yeah. What
That
was
would-
that? The 70s or 80s?
I think the 80s. Billy Ripken. I had the one after they caught it.
Oh, yeah.
And it was 1989 Fleer.
Oh, okay.
And so they just blacked it out.
Right.
Yeah. Oh.
Is it not that expensive?
Yeah. Maybe I will get it.
Can't believe that. No, I can't believe. And did he do that on purpose, or
I
no?
think-
Somebody just wrote that on a bat.
I think somebody did it to him.
Right. That's great.
That.
For people that don't know, somebody wrote "fuckface" on the bottom of the bat, and he's holding the bat in his baseball card photograph, so it says "fuckface" on.
Yeah, it's
baseball
it's
cards.
a pretty well executed prank.
Yeah.
As far as 80s baseball pranks was.
Oh yeah, that's
that
written.
and
That's
the
like
hot
written in
foot.
Sharpie.
Yeah.
It's not like a pen. Like you can very clearly, like you look at that picture and the first thing that occurs to you is something's written on the bottom of that bat. I wonder what it is.
Yeah,
And then
that
you
is
read it.
the only thing that makes me think. Like, why would he write it?
No, because that's not like a funny.
Because fuck face is that phrase wouldn't be the phrase you'd write if you were trying to.
Yeah, to like
Clown
make a
around.
joke. Yeah, somebody wrote that on his bat.
But
Like
it is perfect the way that he's holding it.
Right.
It's perfectly. It's not upside down. It's not sideways.
Didn't do this because it would be on the baseball card. I think that was just a happy accident.
I don't know. I think somebody set him up.
I think they just wrote that on the bat because when they take the baseball card pictures, that's like a somewhat random day. I think.
Yeah, but if you know it's that day, you'd be like, hey, here, yeah, you can hold this bat,
I think
Billy.
somebody probably already wrote that on his bat because they didn't like him or as a joke. And it was like, I wrote your name on your bat for you, so you know which one's yours. That's my guess. And it was just a happy accident that was the one he pulled. Maybe that's not even the one. Maybe it was just, the nearest bat. And he pulled it out.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Is there breaking news on this?
Snopes.com. The standard speculation was that it was a prank pulled off by a Fleer employee who touched up the photograph and added the obscenity.
Really?
Well, Billy Ripken himself claimed that it was an antic pulled off by some of his teammates that had passed unnoticed by him at the time. In any event, many card collectors found it rather implausible that Ripken, the photographer, and the card company all failed to notice what was written on the bat and suggested that one or more of them knew about the obscenity and deliberately allowed it to slip through the production process. It does seem,
but at the same time, like they put out so many baseball cards,
Yeah.
How many people are playing professional baseball in any given season? Hundreds.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work.
Oh,
what?
Now breaking news.
Okay, breaking news.
Is this important to talk about right now?
Absolutely.
Do you think? Okay.
It's the most important thing.
In 2008, which makes this breaking news, 11 years ago.
I'm here 11 years ago.
CNBC sports business reporter Darren Rovell wrote that Ripken had revealed to him that Ripken himself had written the offending phrase on the bat.
Sure, it's a confession, but I don't know if I believe it.
And this I'm getting from Snopes.
Right.
I got a dozen bats in front of my locker during the 1988 season. I pulled the bats out, model R161, and noticed, because of the grain patterns, that they were too heavy, but I decided I'd use one of them, at the very least, for my batting practice bat. Now, I had to write something on the bat. At Memorial Stadium, the bat room was not too close to the clubhouse, so I wanted to write something that I could find immediately if I looked up and it was 4:44 and I had to get out there on the field a minute later and not be late. This is so much detail, Billy Ripken. Cripes.
Well, that's what makes me think that maybe it's, when people lie and they include too much detail.
There were 5 big grocery carts full of bats in there. And if I wrote my number 3, it would be too confusing. So I wrote fuckface on it. After the season was over, in early January, I got a call from our PR guy, Rick Vaughn. He said, "Billy, we have a problem." And he told me what was written on the bat, and I couldn't believe it.
Well, so that doesn't make sense.
I went to a store and saw the card, and it all came back to me. We were in Fenway Park, and I had just taken my first round of batting practice. I threw my bat to the third base side, and I strolled around the bases. When I was coming back right before I got up to hit again, I remember a guy tapping me on the shoulder asking if he could take my picture. Never once did I think about it. I posed for the shot, and he took it. I tried to deflect it as much as I could. It was fairly easy to say that somebody got me with a joke because people think you're scum of the earth for doing something like this. The truth is that there's a lot of words like that are thrown around in the clubhouse. They just don't get out there.
Okay, I've come back around. I believe that.
I mean, why
because
would he try so hard to prove that it was him?
Well, because now he's saying, like, yeah, I'm the one who wrote that on the bat, but then I accidentally was using that bat when they took a picture.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. That it's a batting practice bat, and that's when they're taking pictures, because whenever you look at a baseball card, there's nobody in the stands usually.
Yeah.
In a lot of those portraits. So yeah, it all checks out.
Yeah.
Billy Ripken, an honest man,
a great man, a fuckface.
All right, Tim. Well, as you mentioned, the holidays are almost upon us, and a lot of people are out there shopping for gifts. But you know who the most important people to get gifts for are?
The children.
The children. And
right?
I was going to say the clergy, but yeah, you're right, the children.
I wouldn't give the clergy a gift. Because they say that's not the reason for the season.
Right. Well, I get them gifts just to see if they'll turn them down.
Ooh.
Or if they're like, oh, a new Lexus. All right.
Well, you bought a Lexus?
You took a vow of poverty. You're like, oh, got me again.
Yeah.
I do it every year. Costs me a fortune. Children are the most important
They
people.
keep the car after you.
Well, no, but you can't return a car after you drive it off the lot.
Yeah, the value.
It immediately plummets.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think anybody's ever been like tried to return a car before they drove it off the lot? Yeah, I'm sure it happens all the time.
Having second thoughts, they pull
Yeah,
it
they
around
buy
and
a
go like,
car and
I didn't know it'd be blue.
They buy a new Corvette and they call up their wife, and then their wife's like, "What the hell did you just do?"
How come all of your hypothetical situations involve a naysaying wife?
Well, I'm just imagining him coming home in a Corvette. His wife's got curlers in.
Corvette? What year is this?
She comes out with a rolling pin, wraps him on the head with it.
You have no idea what real life is like.
No, I don't. I've never claimed to. I think it's not when you drive it off the lot. That's just a saying. It's once you buy it. They won't take it back, whether you drove it off the lot or not.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends. I think it depends on how...
I think once all the contracts are signed, that's it.
Yeah, but maybe they can make an exception.
They
could
make an exception, but I don't think they would.
Why can't you return something if you haven't used it?
Because car dealers are scumbags. Every car
all
dealer.
of them?
Yeah,
I don't think that's true.
100% that's true. Why? You think car dealers listen to this show and they're mad right now?
No, I was in the market
for playing in a showroom right now.
Yeah, guess what, Tom? It's not going to be a happy Honda days at that dealership.
Somebody's about to sign a contract, and they're like, wait a minute, what are they saying? All car dealers are scumbags?
Nah, look, the guys that they get to close, the closers are real scumbags. But I had this Willie Loman type trying to help me out.
Oh, that was just somebody, he was playing, that's just a good salesman who saw you and said, I'm going to do the Willie Loman to this guy.
Yeah, but then... I don't know.
I'm gonna do the old poor Gil.
He was an older man down on his luck.
Yeah, that was all prosthetics.
But then they brought a young guy in to close.
Same guy, Tim, without the prosthetics.
Wow, it's mind blowing. No, the young guy blew it mostly because I just didn't like the cut of his jib.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like young people. I don't like old people either.
I'm not in the market for a car anymore. Tim, the holidays are all about...
As I was leaving, the old man went, Tim, what happened?
What am I going to tell my wife?
Yeah. Again, the wife is going to nag him when he gets home.
Going to knock him in the head with a rolling pin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have a skewed view of how things are in the real world, Tom.
Well, you're the dummy who couldn't even tell that it was the same guy just wearing prosthetics.
When he came back, I guess he didn't have time to put the old man prosthetics back. He put his face in a cake and told me that it was just face cream.
Yeah, a likely excuse.
Yeah. And then his face cream fell in my coffee.
Probably made it more delicious, though.
Yeah, because it was just from a cake.
Yeah. I could go for a nice cake right now.
Yeah.
Couldn't you?
No,
anyway.
I had some cake at lunch.
All right. You shouldn't be eating cake at lunch.
Not for lunch, after lunch. Actually, I didn't eat lunch. It was somebody's birthday.
Yeah, so you had cake for lunch.
I had a string cheese and then some cake.
Nice. But I'm the one who doesn't live in the real world. Tim, this week we're talking about gifts for kids, but not just that. We're talking about hard to find holiday gifts throughout the years.
Yeah, because I don't think anything's hard to find these days, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we were growing up, that was always the thing, that every year there was a particular toy that was hard to find. They made a movie.
I think it only happened, like, in earnest
a few times.
3 times.
Right, but then every year, I think every toy company wanted to be, we're the hot
and
toy.
So did the media. Oh,
right.
Don't get me started on the media.
Well, you're talking about the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Which was based on this very idea. What was the name of that toy? Rocket Man, Turbo Man.
Turbo Man.
Yeah.
Did you see that movie in the theater on Thanksgiving Day, the year it came out?
Did you?
Yeah.
You're a big Sinbad fan as a kid.
I was actually a big Phil Hartman fan at the time.
Yeah.
And it was weird because I was, 14?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, Thanksgiving night, I was like, hey, everybody, dinner's over. I'm going to go to the movies with my friends. And my mom was just like, what movie are you going to see? And, like, that movie with the 45-year-old man that I think is very funny. He plays straight-laced characters.
It's a movie for children, but I'm going to go see it. Yeah, I agree that I think it's not an all-the-time thing, but they try and make it out to be an all-the-time thing. And I don't think it happens anymore, but I think it doesn't happen anymore because manufacturing's gotten more streamlined.
Yeah, but there's also no Rosie O'Donnell telling everybody to go out and buy this stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a guy now.
What do you mean everybody's got a guy?
Everybody's got a guy. It's like, oh, you can't find this thing? Yeah, I'll get it for you.
No, I don't think it's that. I think
who
it's just...
that guy's? What that man's name is?
What?
Jeff Bezos.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Santa Claus.
Oh, no.
No, but I was going to say, I think...
It's a sad state of affairs these days when Santa Claus himself has been replaced by Jeff Bezos.
A man with no hair on his head.
Yeah, he's really trying to be the anti-Claus.
I never thought about it that way, but you're right. Regular heat miser.
Yeah. He's not roly-poly. He's like
svelte.
oddly
Yeah, now
jacked.
He's like ripped.
Yeah. He's bald as the day is long.
No facial hair.
No facial hair.
No glasses. No
reindeer. He probably indirectly owns a lot of reindeer.
Probably most reindeer. No, I think nowadays the problem in the 80s and 90s was that once something became a hit, it was like, all right, we'll send a telegram to China and tell them we need more.
Yeah.
And put them on the next boat, and they'll be here, in March.
Mm-hmm.
But
and that's
nowadays,
too late. Christmas is December 25th, year after year.
They know this thing's a hit. Get on the phone. They can get right on the phone. Send a text message.
Mm-hmm.
And
SMS
tell them
text.
We need more, and fire up the 3D printers.
Mm.
And that's what they'll do. And don't put them on
me some more Cabbage Patch Kids.
Don't put them on a boat. Put them on the Hyperloop.
Send them through the information superhighway.
Yeah. Hey, just send them over the wire to us, and we'll print them out here.
Hey, do me a favor. Airdrop me some the Beanie Babies.
Yeah. So I think that's why it doesn't happen anymore, is my point. And I also think, do kids like toys anymore, or they just go on phones?
Here's my proposal.
Okay.
The government bans phones for a year. Bans smartphones. If you're caught with one, they lock you up. They throw you in a dungeon.
But Tim, you just bought a brand new iPhone 11 Pro.
Yeah, okay, take it away. Because I think we all just need a reminder of how nice life was before we had phones. And you have to get, like, a 7-year-old is going to know about phones now, so they're not going to want toys.
Yeah, they're like, give me a phone. I want to gamble.
Yeah. I need that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
From the slots.
Yeah.
The E-slots is what they call it now.
Anyway, let's start with the first. We're going to talk about some that have happened throughout the years. I'm going by an article here on Insider.com by Jacob Shamsian. The hardest to find...
Oh, there's a Shamsian article?
Yeah. The hardest to find toys each holiday season since 1983.
83? What about 1934 when the Shirley Temple doll was causing all sorts of chaos?
Is that true? Do you know that for a fact?
Yeah, I know that for a fact. What, you need to check me out? Are you going to ask Siri?
No, I don't think Siri knows if the Shirley Temple doll was big. I think 83, I mean, I'm not aware of anything before 1983.
Because you were born in 1981, Tom.
Yeah, I was 2 years old in 1983. I don't think I was able to form memories yet. 1983, Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
Cabbage Patch Kids were first created in 1978 by the early 80s, so were everywhere. 1983 heralded the start of Cabbage Patch riots. Shoppers hopped from state to state and withstood freezing temperatures in line and fought each other in stores to buy Cabbage Patch Kids. Did you have a Cabbage Patch Kid as a kid?
There was one in my household.
But it belonged to your brother, maybe?
I think so. I think my parents got caught up in the craze.
I was going to say the same thing happened with my parents, I think. Because, I
can't imagine. I mean, I was 1 or 2 at the time.
Yeah.
When they bought it. But I can't imagine my brother expressed any interest in it.
Right. So I think this is saying 1983, but I think it was like every Christmas for a few years, these things are really hard to get.
Really? Then why didn't they just
make more?
Yeah, if you're saying they couldn't get them until March, wouldn't our parents be smart enough to be like, in April I'll pick up one of these things because everybody went nuts about it?
I don't know. I mean, I know I got one as a kid. It must have been a few years after this because, I mean, I do remember having it. So I was like, when do you start getting memories? 3 or 4?
For some of us.
So I was like...
I think I started forming memories really like the furthest I can remember back is 33.
Okay, so just a few years ago.
Yeah.
You can't remember anything before
Not
that.
too much.
That explains all the tattoos on your body to remind you of things.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I have to figure out a mystery when this is done.
Okay. Your memory resets every 5 years? Every 4 years or so?
Yes.
No, for years, for decades, my parents would, regale guests with stories of, oh, boy, getting that Cabbage Patch doll for Tommy. That was real hard. Oh, we had to go to this many stores. And it wasn't until somewhat recently that I got brave enough to speak up and say, I don't remember ever expressing interest in a Cabbage Patch doll. I remember liking it once I got it, but I don't remember knowing what it was beforehand.
That's something I'm sure they started rewriting history, too, where it's like, oh, no, you were talking about it for weeks. You were nonstop.
Yeah, and they were like,
how would you even know about it?
We had to go to all these stores, and we called a store, and they had it. So, like, your mom left work and rushed over there and had to stand in this huge line, and, like, it turned into, like, people were having fist fights and stuff, and I'm like, I don't remember wanting that thing.
Yeah. And also... kids have such short memories.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they want something, just be like, "Oh no, that toy doesn't actually exist. That's just on TV." That's
it's just a made-up toy.
Yeah, they don't make those for real kids.
Although I've talked about how one year I asked for the polka dotted elephant from the Island of Misfit Toys, and my mom did try and find that, and that didn't exist as a toy.
I bet it does now.
No, it does now.
Yeah.
That's how I know. They have like a Funko Pop of it and everything you can imagine.
Yeah, but those aren't for kids. Those are for adults.
Right. They're for adults like me.
I asked my mom for the Big Bird bus.
Mm-hmm.
Both my parents for the Big Bird bus over and over again, obsessively. There was no
toy of that.
There was no product on the market called the Big Bird bus or had anything to do with it. They couldn't figure out what I was talking about.
Oh, so you just like made something up.
I think so. I think maybe.
Or you like had a dream about it.
Yeah, either that or like there was a bus on Sesame Street that some Muppets were in at some
One
point.
time.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's the Big Bird bus. Yeah, I want that. And my parents would sit me down and be like, explain to me what the Big Bird. What do you want? And then Christmas came. I've told this story on this podcast.
I don't remember it. Maybe it
Christmas
was an episode
came,
I wasn't on.
and they got me like a whole bunch of stuff, and then my grandmother came over, for Christmas. All the relatives came over, and
I
she
know
was like,
Christmas
"Hey, what did
works.
Santa Claus bring you?" And I was just like, "What does it even matter? He didn't bring the Big Bird bus." And my grandmother went up to my mom and was like, "What? Why didn't you buy him the one toy he wanted?"
Yeah.
And my mom was like, interrogated him for hours. I brought him to the toy store and was like,
Yeah, which
Where
of these
is
is
it?
the
Yeah.
Big Bird bus?
Yeah. So, well,
Sounds like your parents were gaslighting you at an early age. Just telling you this
I was
toy didn't
gaslighting them.
this toy didn't exist.
I wanted to see how far that I could take it.
So that goes against the argument then that kids don't remember and kids don't care. Because here you are 30 something years later.
Yeah. But if
and I can tell, Tim, you still have like a tinge of real sadness in your voice when you talk about not getting
you
that
want the bus with all the Muppets on it? Big Bird's presumably the bus driver.
Well, look, Tim, if you can't say what it actually is.
I could assume. I think that's what happened. I think I built it up in my mind as a 3-year-old. Where it's like
a bus with all the
and you
Muppets.
know what else? Yeah, Oscar the Grouch is on the top of the emergency exit.
Oh,
thing.
that would be smart.
That would be. How Tom
Mm-hmm.
Carol Spinney, is that the guy's name?
Mm,
He was
Big Bird.
Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
Passed away. Don't Big Bird and Oscar interact a bunch?
They do.
Was he running, doing a Mrs. Doubtfire at Bridges situation? When the camera would change, he'd jump out of the Big Bird costume and get in the garbage can?
I'm imagining Oscar. Jeez, I don't know. Because I was going to say somebody else could puppet Oscar, but they couldn't do the voice.
No.
Yeah.
And there's all these pictures of him doing it.
Yeah, so I don't know.
It's
Split
nuts.
screen.
Yeah, I
Split
guess so.
screen technology.
Yeah. One guy was Big Bird and Oscar. That's crazy.
I mean, it's not that crazy.
They're so different. One's yellow, one's green.
1984.
Talk about range.
The big toy, the hard to get toy was Transformers.
I don't know if that was true. I think that was a toy that was popular.
Yeah.
I don't know that there were like fist fights over it, and everybody's like, "Oh no, there's a shortage of Transformers. Arnold Schwarzenegger needs to get involved."
I remember as a kid, I was not into Transformers, but I was into Robotech. You remember Robotech?
No, what is that? Was that you were a Sega household and you didn't have Transformers, but you had Robotech?
Well, I had GoBots. GoBots were the Sega
Yeah.
of Transformers. But Robotech is like a Japanese anime that is like a very serious anime that's still around, I think, today. But they were like, we'll just call this Robotech and we'll redo the voices or whatever. But it was only, it was planes, like jets, that could turn. They couldn't even turn into like, a robot. It was just that they were planes.
Turn into other planes?
No, that could have legs.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, and I liked it.
Human legs?
No, not
that I'd like to see.
Not anatomically correct legs. They were still. It was just like.
I don't need to see like genitals.
No, well, Tim, I never implied that there were genitals.
A plane with genitals. What a thing, huh?
A plane with human flesh genitals.
Ugh. Imagine seeing that flying through the air. What's going on with that plane?
Somebody should really do something about that plane. But I remember getting this from my grandma for a Christmas, and I was so excited about it. And then being similar to you, very upset because I think she got me just like the nicest one. I remember it was awesome. It was huge, except it did not turn into a robot.
No.
It was just a big plane.
Yeah.
And I was like,
where's
what?
the dick?
No, I wasn't like, where's the dick? I was like, this is just a big plane. I know it's a Robotech plane, but the whole thing was that this thing could have legs and arms. That it had arms too, I think. Maybe it turned into a full-on robot.
Yeah, it seems like it did. You probably just didn't know how to work it.
No, I tried with this thing. It was just not because I remember my mom having to explain to me, like, no, this isn't
your grandmother
one
screwed up.
This isn't one that turns into a robot. But I didn't have that many Transformers as a kid. I had I think it was a GoBot that could turn into a gun and then back into a robot.
A gun?
Yeah, I mean, not like, it was like a laser gun, not like a real looking gun.
All right.
1985 to 1986. Teddy Ruxpin himself.
The man of the hour. a great bear that we all know and love. It's the second greatest bear on this list.
What's the first?
We'll get to it later. Yeah, that'll be.
For anybody that doesn't know what Teddy Ruxpin was this bear that had a.
He friggin' talked. We all know. It was amazing. I wasn't allowed to have one.
Why not?
I don't know.
He had a cassette player in his back, and you would put a cassette in, and he came with books, and it was just a regular old cassette player. But you would read the books with him, but he would read the books to you and tell you when to turn the pages and stuff.
And his mouth would move.
And his mouth would move and his eyes would move along with. So it was like having a puppet kind of, like a live puppet.
Yeah.
I remember wanting Teddy Ruxpin in the worst way, and I got him.
Congratulations.
I remember watching the Teddy Ruxpin cartoon. I remember having Teddy Ruxpin figures.
Figures?
Yeah.
What's the fun in that?
The cartoon was pretty cool. It was pretty weird. They were all on like an airship, and there was like a worm, maybe.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with the figures?
There were figures of these guys, of Teddy Ruxpin and the worm.
Oh, the worm?
And the bad guy.
I don't like the idea that there's a bad guy. I feel like Teddy Ruxpin should have no natural predators.
I don't think it was like
He's at the top of the food chain.
I don't think it was like a Shredder Ninja Turtles where the bad guy wanted to eat Teddy Ruxpin, wanted to make him into a stew and eat him. I think it was just like, I don't want you to have fun, Teddy. Something like that. I remember also as a kid, the day I realized that you could put any tape into Teddy Ruxpin and he would just play that and mouth along with, like the mouth would just kind of move randomly. I guess the mouth just responded to like volume, maybe.
Yeah, I guess.
You could probably put us on a tape, put us in a Teddy Ruxpin, and it would sound like us.
Cool.
I'm going to try that. I know where that Teddy Ruxpin is at my parents' house. And that was one of those things that took like 8D batteries.
I just remember it being heavy. It was like a piece of machinery.
Yeah, the entire like it was
it was just they had Walkman at the time.
Right. It was ostensibly a teddy bear, a soft teddy bear, but the entire body was very solid, was plastic, but with like a thin veneer of plushness.
Yeah.
And same thing with the head. And then it was like the limbs were, floppy.
Ooh, I just Googled Teddy Ruxpin insides, and I'm getting a lot of good info here. Google image search.
I thought you were going to say it autofill to Teddy Ruxpin incels. OnePeloton.com/guide. Tim, close your eyes. Let me take you to a little.
I am closing my eyes.
A little year
I'm
called.
very tired. I might fall asleep.
1986. Do you remember 1986?
The New York Mets defeated the Boston Red Sox in the World Series of Baseball.
I had a friend as a kid. Whenever I would sleep over, we would have to watch the tape of that. And I wasn't a Mets fan. I was a Yankees fan.
And also,
but also
was
as like a kid,
yeah.
like I didn't know what winning a World Series really meant.
I had a friend where I had to sleep over his house, and we had to watch the Michael Jordan videos all the time.
Yeah. It's like, this is boring.
Yeah.
I don't know, watch this once in a while, maybe, but put a
and
movie
they were
on.
really religious, and then we had to go to bed at 8 o'clock. I was like, this sucks. Why didn't I just stay at my own house? I could be watching Family Matters right now.
Yeah, I could be.
The hell did I do this for?
Yeah.
God.
Devil's bargain.
I had to pray.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they made me pray.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
1986.
Another thing that happened with that guy. He was a nice guy. He didn't get a lot for Christmas. I guess they took the clergy view of vow of poverty. And so he would come over the day after Christmas to everybody's houses and just kind of roast everybody for the gifts they got.
All right.
Be like, oh, you got that toy? that's lame. That's cheesy. Be like, oh, you got you got that basket. I remember I got. Remember that Michael Jordan basketball that was like gold colored?
Yeah,
that
vaguely.
was like cool to have.
Yeah.
And even though I didn't like watching the Michael Jordan videos
Right.
at this kid's house, I was like, oh, this is a cool basketball, and I got it. Pretty much everybody got it that year.
And you had a basketball hoop in your
I
above your garage.
shot some hoops. This kid comes over and
I think that's actually where I remember that basketball from. It's
Yeah.
just your house.
and I was like, oh well, he'll relate to this because he likes Michael Jordan. And he's like, that ball's dumb. I was like, oh, you're just jealous.
Yeah, this is the ball Michael Jordan uses.
Because your Christmas was boring and mine was full of toys. He probably had to go to midnight mass and then like 6 a.m. mass the next morning.
Yeah, couldn't watch his Michael Jordan tape.
1986.
I'm surprised that this was the apparently the hard to get thing. Koosh balls.
It was not hard to get a koosh ball in 1986. Koosh balls were flowing like wine.
No, I think this is when koosh balls became a thing.
Shut
Nowadays,
up, like you know.
Nowadays,
like you know anything about a goddamn koosh ball.
Nowadays, they're easy to get, sure, but at some point, koosh balls had to be new.
Everything new isn't a phenomenon.
I think koosh balls were. The fact that we still know what they are today is a big deal.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that there was a shortage of them, that they were hard to get.
I think they were hard to get.
I don't think they were. I don't think you have any proof.
No, because I think they were very popular. Like, I don't know if they were hard to get in terms of people lining up, but I could see something like a koosh ball, the manufacturers, Koosh, John Koosh and son,
Jacob,
perhaps not knowing how popular it would be, saying, let's do a small initial run of 1,000 of these guys before we commit to a big production. And then those 1,000...
You can say that about any product that, they didn't make a lot of them. Yeah. Any successful product, but that doesn't mean that there was a run on that product.
I think there were. How do we all know what koosh balls are if they weren't popular at some point?
Rosie O'Donnell. She shot them into the audience.
That was after they were popular. That's how she got popular.
That's why koosh balls are popular. That's why Tom Cruise is popular. Rosie.
No, people were tuning in to watch the koosh balls, and then Rosie got famous as a result.
Is Ellen DeGeneres the new Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah, I mean, she's the new daytime talk show host in that vein, I would say.
Doesn't it stink that Ellen DeGeneres stinks?
Yeah.
That she's like a mean lady, right? She's a mean lady?
She's apparently a very mean lady. It wouldn't stink so much if
she used
her
to be
public
so cool.
persona wasn't that she's the nicest lady.
Yeah.
It's that disparity between the two. Because you hear about other celebrities that are mean and you're like,
yeah, it's great. Yeah. But it's like she's pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, but everybody kind of knows that she's also mean.
Yeah, I think her true fans don't believe it, that they think like those are just mean. Those are mean people saying that.
Also, Ellen, she was hilarious in the 90s.
Yeah.
Her stand-up specials were good.
Yeah, she was a very talented stand-up.
Her sitcom was really good.
Mm-hmm.
She was a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Got her show canceled, but the greater good. And then she came back as a mean lady pretending to be nice.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
And she's more
and
famous
her whole thing is
and
startling
richer than
people.
Ever. Yeah. The whole startling people, I don't understand why that's a nice thing.
No, I hate being startled.
Everyone hates being startled.
It's not a fun thing.
No.
So it's like, why'd you do that?
Yeah. I wonder if when celebrities go on that show, if they ask them if they're okay being startled or not. Because there's never
Ellen doesn't care.
But there's never been a case, and I would love to see this, where like somebody gets startled and they're like, that was bullshit.
Shia LaBeouf like punches her in the face or something.
Right, or like knocks a table over or something like that. Wasn't cool. I said I don't like being startled. Yeah, the startling thing. And like she's big on, I mean, I guess it's like Oprah too, and Rosie, like big on the giveaways.
Which is nice, but it's the easiest way to get affection.
Yeah,
too.
I was
You're
gonna
just
say,
buying
like,
people's love.
it's not nice because it's always that sponsor is basically giving that stuff to her
I don't
for
mean it's
free.
like personally nice and generous of her.
She's
but it's
not
like,
going to the Apple store and buying iPhones for her entire audience.
It's a nice
on her
thing
credit
that
card.
people are getting items that they might not otherwise be able to treat themselves to for free.
Yeah, she's going to Apple and saying, "Hey, give us $1 million and we'll advertise the iPhone. Also, you have to give us 500 iPhones."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, okay."
Wow, she's a good friend of Tim Cook. Is that true? No, George W. Bush.
Yes. 1988, the Nintendo Entertainment System.
The NES.
Sold 7 million units in 1988, which even nowadays is a lot of systems to sell within a year, I believe.
Yeah. Well, it was the only game in town. Well, some people had Sega.
No, Sega.
Did you say Sega or Sega?
Sega.
But shouldn't it be Sega?
No, Sega.
Sega?
I'm not doing this. The NES. I remember the same kid that I was friends with as a kid. I wasn't even necessarily friends with him. His mom was had a daycare in her home, like an illegal daycare probably or something, which also I do not remember. But apparently one time my dad came to pick me up at this daycare. She had eventually 4 kids. And she was a former teacher, so I think it was basically like, well, I got to watch all these kids. Let me run
Might
a
as well
daycare.
make some money off of. Yeah.
So it was like family friends that she had a daycare of. But apparently one time it was like a split level house, and my dad came to like the front door and knocked on the door. And I was like, it's my dad here to pick me up. Let me ride the tricycle to him. And I went down an entire staircase. And apparently, and my dad, of course, was horrified because the door was locked, and he was like trying to stop me and trying to get in. Like, no, don't do it. So he just had to watch behind a locked door as I drove. It was like a 3-year-old Tom.
That must have been traumatic for him.
Just like drove a tricycle over the edge of a staircase and went down the entire thing. Man, that must have hurt. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, when you're 3, nothing hurts you.
Yeah, I guess. No, I think that's where I have the scar on my chin from. Actually,
you have a scar on your chin?
Yeah,
I have a scar on my chin too. I was wearing socks on a hardwood floor and I was pretending to ice skate, and then
that'll do it.
Fell and hit my chin on the coffee table, and I had to go get stitches at the hospital.
Do kids nowadays have scars?
I think if they
are they better taken care of?
I don't know.
But anyway, this kid.
What the hell did this have to do with Nintendo?
So at this house, there was a kid that was a year younger than me, and he was, the boy I was friends with. One time I watched him get his mouth washed out with soap.
Oh.
He cursed, and his mom was like, "I'm going to wash your mouth out, and all you kids have to come in and watch."
That's no good.
It was good because, like...
You wanted to see him suffer?
Yeah. I mean, we were all, like, laughing at it, but it was, like, a good deterrent of, like, none of you kids curse, but none of us...
You didn't know that, like, she couldn't do that to you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was understood, like, this could happen to me, but, like, nah, it can't happen to me. Like, she's just making her own kid an example. Boy, I bet that kid's going to resent her one day.
Yeah.
But, and he did. But, he had an NES, and he had the Rob the Robot. Remember that?
Yeah.
Because apparently that was included early on with the NES because...
It came with it?
Yeah. Because the video game collapse had happened, the crash, and people were like, no, video games are bullshit. They're all bad. So
and they were like, well, what if we put this robot with it?
Yeah, so Nintendo in the U.S. market was basically trying to market the NES more as a toy or an entertainment system. That's why it's called Nintendo Entertainment System, not Nintendo Video Game System.
Right. And you can do so much more than just video games.
Right. You could operate this robot. He would never set the robot up. And I had a friend like that who had
all the fixins.
Yeah, and they never want to set him up.
Oh, the power glove? Nah, you don't need to use that.
This kid, yeah, he had the power glove too.
Yeah. This kid also had the mat that you would
the power pad.
The
yeah,
power
this
pad.
kid
You
had
know what?
that too.
I wasn't that interested in the power pad.
The power pad wasn't bad. I think that's the only thing that's actually aged pretty well, just because it's so simple.
Yeah.
Of just you have to tap these two things to run and jump.
Yeah.
Although I remember you could like turn the power pad over and it had like another pattern that I don't think anything ever used.
It's so funny to me that whole NES came with that whole the gun.
Yeah.
That you could only use in that one game, right?
There were other games, but nothing popular.
Yeah.
You know, it was mostly duck. I never knew anyone that had anything
They had to
other
make
than
this whole
Duck Hunt.
gun all the time.
Yeah.
Put that in the box.
Those guns don't work with modern televisions either.
It's a damn shame.
It is a damn shame. 1989, the Game Boy.
It came out just 1 year after the NES.
No, the NES was out for a few years, but it was in 1988 that like it really took off. I bought my own Game Boy, I think in 1990. I was very proud of that. And then I sold it years later, and I wish I hadn't sold that. I wish I still had it. I had a nice case for it and everything.
You can get another one now, Tom.
I've thought about it. I've considered getting another Game Boy. I think nowadays, though, you either have to pay.
I would get a Lynx.
An Atari Lynx?
Yeah.
I think nowadays you either have to pay a good amount for a Game Boy or like restore it yourself.
I have an old Game Boy. Do you want it? And I have a Game Boy Color.
Yeah, give him to me.
Give them.
Set them up. I want to play them. Nah, you don't want. There's a big pain in the ass to set them up.
That Game Boy Color, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Has a Donkey Kong Country cartridge in it right now.
You know what game I had for Game Boy Color that was awesome? Metal Gear Solid.
Really?
They made a Game Boy Color version. It was great. 1990, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures.
Yeah, those were cool. I didn't have any, but...
You didn't have any?
No.
And you weren't in the... Was this the year you had to go live with the religious family that didn't buy toys?
Tom, I had like puppets and stuff.
Puppets and stuff.
Yeah, that was my lane.
I can't imagine though my parents, like anybody's parents, going to the toy store and being like, "I want Ninja Turtles. I need all 4 of them," and then them looking at me like, "Oh, these motherfuckers found a way to sell the same figure 4 times.
Yeah.
This is absurd."
Wait, the difference is that thin strip of colored paint?
They just painted the bandana a different color.
Yeah.
I also remember...
And you were like, no, the weapon is different.
Yeah.
Michelangelo has nunchucks. Donatello has a staff.
The weapon that I'll immediately lose is different. I also remember signing up for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan club on the promise that it came with a bandana. And, of course, I assumed that would be a bandana with the eyes cut out that I could wear over my eyes like the Ninja Turtles. Nope, it came with, like, a handkerchief.
Yeah, that's not a bandana, Tom. That's a mask.
A bandana-style mask.
It's a bandit's mask.
And I wanted to cut holes out of it to make a mask, and I wasn't allowed to.
Really?
Yeah.
If your mom wanted you to have a crafting project, she should have said, "Look, pick your favorite Ninja Turtle. I'm gonna, we can get you a bandana of the color of their mask.
I probably would have gone with Donatello for a purple.
Let's see,
one.
blue. Oh, purple.
Yeah.
You get a purple bandana, and then she'd help you cut the eye holes, and you wouldn't ruin your officially branded Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bandana.
That would have been fine by me. It was never on offer.
Do you want me to talk to her?
Yeah, please.
When I go home
Christmas
for
is
Christmas,
coming up.
I'll storm into your home, your mom's home on Christmas morning, with a purple bandana, and
That'd
be like,
be
"You
great.
and Tom
I'd never be
have
so
some
happy.
overdue bonding to do."
1991, the Super Nintendo.
Man, this Nintendo's dominating this list.
It really is. I mean, and are you surprised? I got a Super Nintendo. No, I asked for a Super Nintendo, but I got Street Fighter 2 as a surprise.
Wow. The
The
arcade
video
game.
No, the video game. Because like Super Nintendo was like $200, and I think Street Fighter 2 was like $70, and that's in 1992 money or whatever.
Yeah. So that like $75.
No, it's like over $100 nowadays. So it's like, oh, I understand. Like, I can't get Super Nintendo and the game I want. The Super Nintendo comes with Super Mario World, which is great anyway. I'll rent the games. Yeah. No, that's Super Mario 3 you're singing.
Yeah, I know.
But they got me Street Fighter 2 as well, and that was a big surprise, and I was very happy.
Wow.
1992, Barney doll.
Yeah, that was never a phenomenon.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Barney
really.
was, but...
You're right, but it was like there wasn't one piece of
Yeah.
Barney merchandise. 1993, the Talk Boy.
The Talk Boy always confused me.
Okay, it had this is, of course, what Kevin McAllister used in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, to pretend to be his father, amongst other things.
That is the craziest movie merchandise that ever... Because
I think as a kid, I didn't ask for it because I assumed it wasn't a real thing.
And Home
that
Alone
it was just
2,
a plot device.
Home Alone 2 tried to make you think that, this is a... Yeah, you know about the Talk Boy, right?
Yeah.
And when I found out that they
weird...
were a real-life toy, I was like, oh, holy shit, wait, did just like Home Alone know about this before I did?
Right.
But they invented it for the movie and then manufactured it.
Right.
And also, what did John Hughes write the second movie too?
I'm not sure.
Was he just like, we'll give him this machine?
Yeah, we'll give him I mean, I could see at that point like a journalist voice recorder being a thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, he has a voice recorder,
Yeah.
and he uses that to, because that probably solved a lot of script problems of, well, how is he going to call and pretend to be his dad?
Yeah.
He's going to need some kind of a voice modulation or something.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. In the movie, it doesn't have the slow voice function, so he has to press down on the tape.
Oh, does the real one have a slow voice function?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because that was another thing that made me think this is not a real product because he's like misusing it.
They would never disrespect the product like that.
Well, no, because he's like opening it up and like holding a motor down to slow it down, which as a kid, when we had things that were like motorized, that was the thing that was ingrained in you. Like, you're going to break it if you try and mess with any kind of battery powered action.
Do you know how much Macaulay Culkin got paid to be in Home Alone 2?
$500.
No, more than that.
I'm going to guess $5 million.
4.5 million.
I was very close.
You went over.
I'm adjusting to today's dollars. 1994, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Yeah. But there's nothing, like, I guess it was just, random things. 1995, The Beanie Baby.
Yeah.
Created by Ty Warner. They retired certain types of dolls at his whim, which artificially inflated the price.
And this brings us to our number one bear on the list.
Oh.
The Princess Diana bear.
Is that still the most highly valued Beanie Baby?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think it's probably still like the first bear that they made, though.
Was it?
Like, I think
you know a lot about this.
I think the first my little brother was real into Beanie Babies as a kid.
Real into Princess Diana.
Yeah, every Princess Diana merch.
She's the people's princess.
No, he was like really into Beanie Babies as a little kid. He hasn't listened to this show, but he'd be embarrassed to hear this.
Why would he be embarrassed?
Because, I don't know. That's like an embarrassing thing. He was a little kid. It was fine.
Whatever. Tom, you have a bunch of friggin' action figures.
Those are different. Those are
display.
collectibles.
Funko Pops.
Those aren't for playing with. But yeah, he had a bunch of Beanie Babies. So like I remember Beanie Baby Mania because he was on the hunt.
I remember Bieber Baby Mania. Remember when everybody loved Justin Bieber's song Baby?
Hey, I'm still in that mania.
Yeah.
Baby. 1996, Tickle Me Elmo. This
Tickle
is
Me
a very
Elmo.
famous one.
This is the one that inspired Jingle All the Way.
Yes.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
I think so.
Or what got that script greenlit.
Right. Maybe the script was
yeah.
fooling around.
Yeah.
But so Tickle Me Elmo was a standing up Elmo doll that he would tickle it and it would go. And it was very cute and very adorable. And everybody wanted. That was Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah. I know. But guess what?
What?
It was invented by this toy inventor, Ron Dubrin.
Mm-hmm.
And it was originally Tickles the Chimp.
Oh.
It wasn't Elmo at all.
Well, it makes sense to brand it as Elmo, though.
And guess what? Tycho bought it and was like, "We're gonna license this thing. We're gonna make it into a licensed character."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Okay, hitting the shelves next year. Tickle Me Tasmanian Devil." But then they lost the Looney Tunes account, and they were like, "Fuck, what do we do?" And Elmo was like a last resort.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Tickle Me Tasmanian Devil. I would have gone for that.
Yeah.
He would have been
yeah. I remember that just being, that was the thing.
And no kid, look, I knew, I was 14 at the time, but I knew I was in touch enough. No kid actually wanted this. This was entirely.
Well, I was going to say that Beanie Babies and Tickle Me Elmo happened to hit right when eBay became a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember there were just so many stories about like Tickle Me Elmos going for $10,000 on eBay. Because it was the first time you could sell things between people on a national scale.
What did you buy in like 2007, 2008? You bought a bunch of a toy that you thought was going to be hot.
Oh. What was it?
You went on Amazon.
Yeah.
And like you had seen a local news report that some toy was going to be real hot, and you know you bought like $500 worth of these things.
I think it was another Elmo thing.
Yeah, and the bottom fell out before Christmas, and I think you took a bath on them.
No, I didn't, because I was able to just return them. That was the reason why I bought them, because it was like, oh, they have like a 3-month return policy or something. I'm going to buy these if these go crazy. I think it was maybe like a dancing Elmo, something like that.
Yeah.
I just kept them in the closet.
Nope, you kept them in our shared living room.
And well, then you would remember what they are.
But don't worry. No, they were in big cardboard boxes.
Okay. Well,
but
yeah,
that was
that
was when you spent most of your time at your then girlfriend's home. So you didn't have to.
Well, yeah. So the Elmos were keeping. I was paying rent for the Elmos. They were taking up space instead of me.
Put them in your room. And you also left a fish there and it died. She didn't feed it.
I think I did put the Elmos in my room.
No, you didn't.
Trusted you.
Distinctly remember. Yeah, I was going to play with those Elmos.
1997, Tamagotchis.
Yeah.
I still have somewhere. No, I'm pretty sure I know exactly where in my parents' house. I remember as a family, we were at Toys R Us when they happened to have like a shipment of Tamagotchis. And I got one, my brother got one, and then we bought one to keep in the box to sell. And I wonder if that's worth like a lot of money now. It might be.
You should get together with your brother, find that Tamagotchi, find your Death of Superman comic, and retire. It's time to cash out, my friend.
1998, Furbies.
Furbies, they were trying to make happen, like Tickle Me Elmo. I guarantee you there was artificial scarcity there. I think they were lying. I think they were holding shipments back. I think they were trying to create a craze.
Well, I think because part of the Furby, like, look at this picture. There were just like a bunch of different kinds.
Yeah.
So I think they were trying to do
like
the Beanie
Gizmo,
Baby
the
thing.
gremlin.
Yeah, I think they were trying to do the Beanie Baby thing too, of like, well, this kind is rare, this color.
Yeah.
or whatever. And I think it somewhat worked.
Yeah. No, I think they were trying to start a phenomenon, and it was fine. Or can we rush through the rest?
I was gonna say there's not really. They get boring kind of after here, to be honest with you. It is 1999 Pokemon merchandise, but there was a bunch of Pokemon stuff, so there were options. 2000 Razor scooters.
I remember that. I used to see businessmen going to work on them.
2001 Bratz dolls. 2002 Beyblades, which I can sincerely say I've never heard of. 2003 to 2004 Robo Sapien, which was just like a remote controlled robot, which I think that was just like a sharper image thing. I don't think people really.
That sounds pretty cool though. Something I would have liked as a kid. Just kidding. I liked puppets.
2000, this is kind of puppet. 2005 Xbox 360. 2006 PS3, 2007 Nintendo DS, 2008 Nintendo Wii. So for like 4 years there, it's just the video game system that came out that year. 2009 Juju Pets, another thing I'd never heard of. They're like little hamsters. And they only had 16 people working at the company. So that's like an example, I think, of something where it was a very small company and this thing was just more popular than they expected it to be, and they ran out. That's it.
Yeah.
2010 iPad, 2011 Leap Pad.
We don't need to be comprehensive if this is going to be boring.
2012 Nintendo Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
2000
Nobody liked the Wii U. That didn't sell well.
Oh, maybe this one. No, the timing doesn't work out.
Was this list
2000?
Was this list sponsored by Nintendo?
2013
Insider.com? Because friggin' every single Nintendo product that has ever come out was like,
Microsoft and a
it was a
Sony.
craze.
2013 Big Hugs Elmo, but that wasn't. It was Chicken Dance Elmo. That was the one I bought a bunch of. Yeah. I should have kept one of those. Just keep me company. 2014 Elsa doll.
Why are you doing this?
You told me to go through them quick.
No, I said we don't have to do it if it's gonna. We don't have to be comprehensive.
Hatchimals, fingerlings,
potatoes.
Yeah, just that was the year everybody asked for potatoes. Ma, I want a potato. Yeah, those are the top gifts. The hardest to get gifts.
But you skipped over the BB-8 Star Wars toy.
Because you
droid.
told me to speed up.
That's the one thing I thought you maybe had an opinion on.
No.
Because you don't like the new Star Wars because they... What did you say?
I like Mandalorian a lot.
But you don't like the new Disney Star Wars movies. Why? Because they star women and people of color, you were telling me off mic?
That wasn't what I was telling you off mic. I like the new Star Wars better than the old Star Wars because I didn't like the old Star Wars. Boring. But I like the Mandalorian best of all.
Cool. What are you going to get me for Christmas, though?
I was thinking about getting you a fingerling.
A potato, Tom? I know times are tough.
No, they're little monkeys that go on your fingers.
That's not bad.
Yeah, you would like that. It's kind of like a puppet.
Yeah.
A monkey that goes on your finger? That's about as close as you can get nowadays.
To a puppet? No, they have regular puppets.
I don't know, Tim. Have you been to the stores lately?
Oh, no. This is horrible news.
Yeah, there's a big shortage. A big puppet shortage.
If you like the show, you can find more at tcgte.com. You can be our friend on Facebook, but don't. What do we do on Facebook? Do we post anything on Facebook?
Yeah, I post the new episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Facebook.com/Complete Guide. You can follow us on Twitter at Complete Guide. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Reynolds.
Follow me at Your Pal Tim.
If you want to support us, check out our sponsors. Also check out tcgt.com/Amazon for your Amazon shopping this holiday. We get a kickback from that, and it's nice. And patreon.com/Complete Guide for our secondary podcast, Books the Podcast. This week, we're in week 3 of Little Women. I'm reading Little Women. I'm telling a little man all about them.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I'm the little man?
You're the little man. I'm telling them about the hijinks that the March sisters are getting up to. You can get that and all the back episodes at patreon.com/complete-guide.
And Reddit.
Reddit.com/r/TCGCE for discussions and more.
For discussions, and if you want to tell us things we're not allowed to talk about. Tom, do you remember the Talk Girl? It was pink and purple.
Yeah, but it was the same thing, right?
Yeah.
But that came out like a year or two later after the Talk Boy craze was done.
Yeah, it just seems so silly.
I don't think the Talk Boy wasn't out when Home Alone 2 came out. I feel like it was the next Christmas it came out.
Probably.
I don't know. I mean,
they should have just called it the Talkie and then just made it that. I mean, everybody would get them confused with movies.
I would have
loved... why gender that toy?
Yeah. I think it was just Game Boy. The Game Boy existed, so this was like, oh, what can we...
But
we'll
they didn't
name
make
it
a
like
Game
Boy.
Girl.
Right. Yeah, you could the Talk Boy and the Game Boy. The item was a boy. The item was gendered. It wasn't, up to whoever wanted to use it. You could use it. Girls can use boys.
Hey, that's what you always say. That women
that they
just use men.
Boys.
Yeah. You were saying that off mic before
right.
Yeah.
I'm normally just saying all these things off mic, Tim, and I trusted that I can say these things.
Yeah, and I go like, I don't think so.
Because you're usually like, oh, I agree. I can't say it, but I'm glad you're saying it. Yeah, I would have loved the Talk Boy. I don't think it was a tape recorder. I think it was just like a little radio, but it had a microphone and you could talk into the microphone and it would make noise. I mean, that's what we're doing now. So I would have loved that as a kid.
Yeah. Talking into the microphones. Real passion for both of us.
Just making noise into the microphones.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's it. Goodbye.
Merry Christmas, Tom.
That was a HeadGum podcast.